The head of Linux for Mac resigns. Indiana Jones jailbreak beats advanced large language model protections. Reports that the U.S. is threatening to cut off Starlink satellite access for Ukraine. And HP backs down on its 15-minute delay. Welcome to Hashtag Trending. I'm your host, Jim Love. Let's get into it. Hector Martin, the founder and lead developer of Asahi Linux, a project dedicated to bring Linux to Apple M-series Macs, has announced his resignation, citing burnout and conflicts within the Linux community. In a detailed blog post, Martin expressed his once enjoyable dream project had become a source of stress due to relentless user demands and internal resistance from key Linux developers. Martin highlighted the challenges of developing Asahi Linux from scratch with zero vendor support or documentation, noting that despite significant achievements, user expectations continued to escalate. This sentiment arose after disputes with kernel maintainers over Rust-written device drivers, where Martin felt that Torvalds' lack of decisive intervention allowed for ongoing resistance and verbal abuse from certain maintainers. The situation escalated when Martin took to social media to voice his concerns, leading to a public rebuke from Torvalds, who suggested that Martin's approach might be the problem and criticized the use of social media brigading as counterproductive. Despite Martin's departure, the Asahi Linux project is set to continue under new leadership. The remaining developers have established a 7-member board to share responsibilities and ensure sustainable governance. They have also transitioned funding to the Asahi Linux Open Collective, which Martin has supported, inviting supporters to contribute to the project's ongoing development. And while this group has a plan to continue, this is yet another loss of a leader in the key Linux communities. The United States has reportedly threatened to cut off Ukraine's access to Starlink satellite internet services unless Kiev agrees to a critical minerals deal. According to sources cited by Reuters, U.S. negotiators warned that without an agreement, Ukraine would face an imminent shutdown of Starlink services. The development follows Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's rejection of an initial U.S. proposal demanding $500 billion in mineral assets without concrete security guarantees. Starlink, operated by Elon Musk's SpaceX, has been vital for Ukraine's military and civilian communications during the ongoing conflict with Russia. Musk has denied the reports of a cutoff, labeling them as false. The proposed minerals deal has been a contentious issue, with the U.S. seeking significant stakes in Ukraine's natural resources, including critical minerals, oil, and gas. The initial proposal, presented by U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, was declined by Zelensky due to its lack of security assurances for Ukraine. Subsequent discussions involved U.S. Special Envoy Keith Kellogg, who reiterated the potential withdrawal of Starlink services if an agreement wasn't reached. The potential loss of Starlink poses a significant concern for Ukraine. A source highlighted the gravity of the situation, stating, "Ukraine runs on Starlink. They consider it their North Star. Losing Starlink would be a massive blow." Elon Musk, CEO of SpaceX, has refuted the claims that the U.S. has threatened to discontinue Starlink services in Ukraine over the minerals deal. In a statement, Musk described the reports as false and accused the media of misinformation. Researchers have unveiled a dialogue tool dubbed Indiana Jones that exposes significant vulnerabilities in large language models like ChatGPT. The technique can bypass built-in safety filters, prompting these AI systems to produce content they are designed to restrict. Developed by a team from the University of New South Wales and Nanyang Technology University, Indiana Jones orchestrates interactions among 3 specialized LLMs. By using historical figures as their starting point, they've been able to fool the models and bypass their controls. One of the senior authors of the paper said, "Our team has been fascinated with history, and some of us even study it deeply. During a casual discussion about infamous historical villains, we wondered, Could LLMs be coaxed into teaching users how to become these figures? Our curiosity led us to put this to the test, and we discovered that LLMs could indeed be jailbroken in this way. The system guides the models through a 5-round dialogue extracting information that should remain inaccessible. For example, entering bank robber prompts discussions leads to historical figures, gradually refining details until they align with modern contexts. This approach highlights a critical issue. LLMs contain knowledge about malicious activities that can be extracted with the right prompts. As one of the researchers said, the key insight from our study is that successful jailbreak attacks exploit the fact that LLMs possess knowledge about malicious activities, knowledge they arguably shouldn't have learned in the first place. So this presents a challenge and an opportunity. For commercial purposes, perhaps smaller expert models that have much more limited training sets can circumvent at least part of this risk. But in larger public models, here's the question. Who will decide what we should and shouldn't be allowed to know about? Whether it's the Chinese removing Tiananmen Square or an American government telling me that transgender people don't exist, who do you trust as the guardian of truth? Nevertheless, the Indiana Jones method demonstrates that despite efforts to put guardrails around AI models to keep them from executing malicious commands, they are still far too easy to circumvent. And HP has reversed its recent policy that enforced a mandatory 15-minute wait time for customers seeking telephone support. This decision comes in response to significant customer dissatisfaction and internal pushback. Earlier, HP implemented a strategy requiring PC and printer users in the UK, Ireland, France, Germany, and Italy to wait at least 15 minutes before connecting with a live support agent. The goal was to push customers towards digital support channels like live chat and social media. I'd love to say that this was in response to our story, but we first read this in an IT publication called The Register. Be that as it may, it's good to see that tech journalism can make a difference for professionals and customers alike. And that's our show for today. Thanks to all of you who have written in with comments and questions, much appreciated. And I particularly enjoy the feedback we've gotten. And you can reach me with more of it at editorial@technewsday.ca or on LinkedIn. You just have to leave a comment under the video. To all of you who have responded to my humorous "I am a Canadian tech guy" on YouTube, thanks for your comments. And to everyone in our audience, have a marvelous Monday.